Terrarian in the Dungeon, Chapter 41, Fan Fiction by Azazyel. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel for listening and patreon.com/Azazyel to read all of his stories. After Apollo's frankly abysmal performance with the Desert Scrouge as a reminder, there were only a couple more deaths in the dozen other Familias who challenged the King Slime or Desert Scrouge, all of whom were people who were obviously treating adventuring as a side gig and not their life's passion. But as all the lesser Familias cleared out and Finn approached me again, I knew a more important moment had come. "Finn, you and the Familia ready for the stronger bosses?" I asked, and Finn nodded, tilting his head to the side. I saw the mages, archers, and long-range specialists around Riveria while the melee-focused were close to me, and Finn in a circle so they could respond no matter where the monster appeared. Okay, so I will be summoning a massive monster that takes the form of a flying eye that can shoot some lasers and cursed fire from the center of its eye. After we greatly damage it, it will enrage like all monsters we don't instantly kill, and it will basically pull itself inside out and become a massive flying mouth spewing cursed flames and can dash really fast in a straight line. I explained before taking a breath while everyone listened. I won't be running away, so it will most likely stay focused on me, so just try to do as much damage to it as you can, as I imagine it being capable of flying will give you melee fighters some issues. I finished with Finn nodding. And what kind of drops can we expect out of this monster goodie bag, as you call them? Finn asked, and everyone perked up in excitement as opening the bag was the highlight for these people, as literally everyone who participated got something, even if they just literally threw a rock at the monster. Phew, that's a loaded question. I drew off as I categorized all the vanilla and calamity items that would drop out of a bag, so in the end, I just shrugged. You are guaranteed a magical shield that will give you a special dashing ram that will speed you up as you ram the shield into something, while also giving you a magical shield in the act of ramming. Other than that guaranteed drop, you will get potions, materials, and other stuff, but it's all random, so I cannot say. I was especially unsure as Belle had even gotten stuff out of the King Slime loot table, though it was still a slime item. So, for all I know they could just directly get other weird weapons. Finn hummed and thought for a minute before he looked over to Riveria, nodded, and spoke again as he looked back to me. In that case, the Loki Familia will be helping you. Just do your best to keep the monster from the mages. He asked, and I nodded in agreement. The Eye of Cthulhu spawn item, better known as a suspicious-looking eye, was literally a football-sized eyeball, and how else did I summon the primordial remains of some space god? I had to literally poke the center of the eye with my finger, and as I did so, a primal roar filled with rage and pain rang out in the darkened afternoon's light. "Jake, did you just poke that nasty-looking eye in the eye with your finger?" Tiona asked as her face twisted in disgust. I wasn't even given time to make excuses as from over the tree line came a damned blimp-sized flying eyeball that locked onto me with its reddened eye, and I wondered if the eye was so red and angry because I literally poked an eye that shared some kind of voodoo sympathetic connection with it. "Riveria spells now!" Finn yelled as I shot the floating eye in the sky with my space gun, and I zipped away on my grappling hook. The Loki Familia did all they could to hurt the flying eye that spitefully followed me through the forest shooting lasers and even burning down the fucking forest with widespread swathes of green cursed flames. Weaker spells smashed into it, tearing off hunks of flesh. Jester arrows I sold to the committee running this event tore small holes through the boss before dropping off back into the ground. But in the end, the meat of the Loki Familia in the melee fighters like Finn, Bet, and Gareth, were simply incapable of harming the boss. But Ace could use the slime hook she got from the King Slime to actually grapple atop the boss as it solely chased me and attempted to kill me via smashing its form into me or with its lasers or cursed fire. So, Ace was the one actually dealing the most damage to the boss, though she had to avoid friendly fire from spells and jester arrows going through the bottom and sides of the boss and end up traveling all the way through it. "Riveria, kill it!" I called out, feeling the strain of constantly dodging while keeping everyone else at a decent distance from the boss, other than the people leaping up to try to take a chunk out of its flesh. Those people were only Ace, Gareth, Tiona, and Bet. The rest were content to bring down the boss in a death by 1,000 cuts. If I had the whole forest to run around in, I wouldn't find it as difficult, but I had to keep everyone else's position in mind, and that was stressing me out, as I didn't want Loki's people to die, as that would sour my plans for them. Because I had no delusions in thinking I was going to casually kill the wall of flesh, though with getting Fargo's, that may change with all its enchantments and stuff. Harbinger of the end, the white snow. Blow with the wind before the twilight. Closing light, the freezing land. Blizzard, the 3 severe winters, my name is Alf. Riveria chanted her ice spell that called upon the frozen winds of the underworld, apparently, and a piercing silver light shot into the eye of Cthulhu, freezing it utterly solid in but a couple of moments, leaving it floating in the middle of the air. Riveria, mages, it's still alive, chant your next spell. Finn yelled out, frowning as he pinched his thumb. Riveria loudly began chanting again, and I could feel her mana filling the air as a large fiery glyph formed in front of her, as her chants drowned out all the other mages chanting. The flame will soon be released. Creeping war, unavoidable destruction. The horn of battle sounds aloud, and the cruelty of conflict will envelop all. Come, crimson flames, the ruthless inferno. You are the avatar of hellfire. Sweep completely, and bring a close to the great war. Burn them through, sword of Surtr, my name is Alf. But before her chant fully finished, the frozen eye of Cthulhu shattered its ice with a great deal of its frozen flesh falling off with the effort, but then the monster Rexes screamed a mind-numbing screech that made my vision fog over as the eye of Cthulhu spun through the ice so fast that it blurred and seemed to grow even larger as it turned itself inside out into its mouth form that instantly lunged to snap towards me. Riveria's beam of concentrated fire magic only swiped it, but the explosion of powerful flames was more than enough to blast it off its course. It screeched in fury as it smashed into the ground, creating a large ditch. It tore through the ground before rising into the air. Thank the gods it can't no-clip through the ground, I muttered as I just kept shooting the enraged eye of Cthulhu until finally it just broke apart into ashes as Riveria's fire spell, although didn't fully connect, burnt through the monster's frame and had apparently fried its internal organs, so it was only working on limited time in its enraged state. Yay! Goodie bags. Ace cheered as she picked up her own, while I had to backtrack a bit as mine fell to the ground, and I missed it as I was still in constant motion running around with my Hermes boots and being tugged around on my grappling hook. But seeing how the eye of Cthulhu fought and acted, I realized that until I got wings or something to give me a lot more mobility, by far the best bet for me was to keep using magic. Despite Ace doing plenty of damage with her level 5 strength literally carving chunks of flesh off of it. But in the end, not even Gareth, one of the physically strongest adventurers in Orario, could physically manhandle any monster Rex at all. They simply were too large and strong to match physically with human leverage. How do I look? Ace asked dully as she hefted the shield of Cthulhu along with her broadsword, and I couldn't help but chuckle seeing how odd it looked on her. The weapons were a bit too large and unwieldy for her, honestly, though there was little I could do about that. Try to hold the shield in front of you and dash into a tree? I asked, and her head cocked to the side cutely before she nodded and advanced on one of the nearby trees. So, Jake, I got this staff. What does it do? Riveria asked dryly as she held out the Death Stare rod, and I pouted as I opened my bag and got the shield, the materials, and the teardrop cleaver. Ah, that is a staff that will summon a much smaller eye to float over your head and will attack things that you have great negative intent towards, I said, pouting as I didn't get the summon item. Riveria pushed a bit of her mind into the staff and then flicked the grotesque staff that was literally a living eye, looking around as it was seemingly impaled on an intertwined staff of 2 metal bars that met in the middle to impale said eye. And then, with a wet squishing noise like a grape being stepped on, a fist-sized eyeball appeared above Riveria's head. Jake. This is disgusting. Riveria said, shuddering at the sight of the eye hanging over her head. Do you make anything? That's normal. Hey, I didn't make that. It literally came from the boss. And don't even complain, damn it. That eye can shoot lasers through the dungeon walls into other tunnels as it's capable of sensing enemies with negative intent around you. I all but pouted as I swung the teardrop cleaver spurtlessly.